Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna tell you about the rose fragrances that I actually like. I have to tell you kind of a backup story. I don't like roses. I do not agree with people that say that rose is a queen of flowers. As for me, there are flowers that are much more beautiful aesthetically and they smell better. Like jasmine. I love jasmine. I love ylang ylang. I love these tropical flowers. They're more beautiful for me and they smell better. But the majority of people say that rose is a queen of flowers. So we're gonna go with that. So for kind of a long period of time, I thought that my collection is missing something because of the fact that I do not like roses. I thought that my collection isn't complete because I have to have rose fragrances. But the fact that I could never find a rose fragrance that was pleasant for me, it took me on a journey that it actually goes on even today. I'm constantly searching for the rose fragrances that are okay for people like myself that do not like roses. So I have a selection of fragrances that have rose. They all have roses in them, but for some reason, for me, those are the fragrances that I can absolutely wear and I actually enjoy wearing them. And there are so many fragrances that I tried over the years and I bought and then I sold them that they were unbearable for me. So I have to say, and here I don't know if I'm saying that is something totally incorrect because I have no idea. I have no degree in botanics, but for my nose, the redder is the rose, the more intense is the smell. So I always imagine that those white roses, yellow roses, they smell, their smell is a bit more like glittery clear smell. It's lighter, it's more airy. When those roses that are like very red or burgundy or like almost black, their smell is much more intoxicating and they smell of like rose oil for me, and those are the roses that I absolutely do not like. So I'm gonna get started. Please subscribe to my channel. It's gonna help me a lot. I miss currently I need some, I don't know, 40 subscribers to hit this 9,000. It would be so good to hit 9,000 before Christmas. So I'm gonna start with and I do have some niche, some designer, some lower cost, so I have a good selection of everything in here. I'm gonna start with the fragrance that I absolutely adore, and I wasn't expecting that from myself. This is the fragrance, this is Valentino Donna, and this is Yellow Dream. Yellow Dream is the fragrance, it's like a dream. It has, it's very pleasant and it's a very plain and simple fragrance, but somehow, for some reason, it gives compliments. It's a compliment getter and it's very easy to wear. It has a lemon inside. It also has a rose, the rose and musk. So it's kind of this musky rose, but it has this light musky rose scent and with quite a lot of lemon, but the lemon, it doesn't go sour on the skin. This is very nice. So I do think that this fragrance might be a good kind of entrance fragrance to those people that absolutely hate rose, or they have trouble finding something rosy that doesn't suffocate them. This is a brilliant fragrance. To tell you more, that during the Black Friday sales I got myself another bottle of that fragrance. It's like it's done in a different way. It has this kind of rubber thing on top, but it's like 10 mils, and this is enough for me, because although I kind of I do like these fragrances, but I do not like rose enough to have this in a full size. But when I wear it, it's good. I'm telling you, it is very good. I do think that the majority of this goodness is because the scent is very light, and it has a lot of lemon, and it has this musk, so it kind of pushes the rose a bit aside. It's not as prominent as it might have been, but this is very beautiful entry level in a way that it's gonna be acceptable for people that do not absolutely love roses. The next one, I was very surprised, because first of all, I'm not a huge fan of this brand. Second of all, I'm not a huge fan of this rose, but this fragrance, and still this fragrance is in this little teeny tiny bottle, but nonetheless I enjoy it. This is Narciso Rodriguez and Musc Noir Rose. It's very musky, and it's deep. It has a little bit of berry, a berry sweetness, a berry quality to it for me. And rose, the rose here is not suffocating. It's very light. I'm gonna try and check on the on what are the notes in this fragrance, but I'm telling you, I wasn't expecting to like this fragrance as much as I do. I have to tell you that. It has, sorry guys, so it has plum, there's pink pepper, bergamot, musk, rose, tuberose, and vanilla scent notes in it. So it's very, I know, for some reason I get this kind of berry sourness. It's probably because there's this pink pepper and bergamot. They give me this kind of typical berry when the berry isn't ripe yet. So this is good. This is good, but this is good because the rose is completely surrounded by other ingredients. So you don't get it as much, and when you get it, it is not overpoweringly sweet or cloying or hard or very potent. It's not. Next one, it's a cheapie. This is Altea, and this is Herbolaria, and people say that this is a perfect dupe for Delina by Parfum de Marly. This fragrance has, I love the fact that they put the notes of the fragrance on the back of the bottle. It's just 5 stars. Thank you, Herbolaria. I have, no, it has in English as well. So the lemon blossom, sweet orange, marshmallow, white rose, musks, and vanilla. So in time, I do understand a little bit what I like in rose smells. I like when the rose is together with either lemon or bergamot, something juicy, something citrusy, or when it is in a company with something sweet and almost cloying, so I don't really feel the rose. So this is a scent when the rose is present right off the bat. From the beginning, I can smell rose, but it's this kind of almost dewy, almost very white and beautiful and young, and maybe the rose that is just opening up in the morning, and it has a bit of mm, moist on it from the rain, something like that. So I do feel the rose. In these two, I didn't feel the rose right off the bat. In this one, I do get the rose, quite a lot of it, but it's nonetheless, it is pleasant. Nonetheless, it's not overpowering because the rose here is very, very subtle. So I do like this one. I don't really think that it's a perfect dupe for Delina because I do own Delina samples. I would never get myself a Delina bottle because it's just rose-centered fragrance, and there is a fragrance that I like much more in Parfum de Marly other than Delina. But if I was to get a Delina fragrance, if I have to choose, I have to choose one, I would choose Delina La Rosee or Delina Exclusive. Delina Exclusive, I would choose the two completely different fragrances. The Delina La Rosee is very light. It's almost watered down rose fragrance. I have a sample of that one. So it's much more bearable. It's much lighter. It's good, and it's like you almost have the feeling that you don't really get as much rose. I mean, you get this rose in the beginning, but it's very light. It's diluted in water. It's watered down, and it's quite pleasant, I have to say. But why would I get Delina Exclusive instead? Because it has a bit of smokiness. It has a bit of kind of almost Middle Eastern kind of vibe to it, something like that. It's much more. It's much sweeter. It's and the rose is much more prominent, but because of the other notes, they kind of overcome the rose, and you almost don't smell it as intense as in this one or as in the Lina fragrance. So the Lina La Rosee, I do think is a good one if you are searching for very calm and very watered down fragrance. I do think it's a good one. I do think though that the presence of rose is quite prominent for the rose non-lovers. If you love rose, the Delina La Rosee is not gonna be for you because it's so light. It's probably undetectable for the people that love roses. Next one. The next one is probably gonna shock you a little bit because it has a lot of rose, but this is C, and this is C Intense 2021. I also have a 15 ml bottle of Intense 2023, the new one. It came like around maybe 3 months ago. It has those C letters in this kind of big lettering, and it's kind of 3D, very beautiful bottle, but the scent itself, the rose is much more evident in this one. In this one, the rose is completely hidden. It's like if you would imagine a rose that is hidden under a huge pile of patchouli, and there's a lot of sweet, cloying blackcurrant jam on it. It's like that you almost do not detect the rose because the patchouli and the blackcurrant, they kind of overcome completely the rose. So this is how this one smells for me. It's completely covering the rose. I kind of sometimes get those little whiffs of roses here and there, but they're almost undetectable because the sweetness, the cloyiness, but not a bad one. I kind of enjoy when I kind of I'm suffocating on this fragrance a little bit sometimes, but I do enjoy it because it's so potent, it's so beautiful. So because of this sweetness, sticky sweetness, I do not feel the rose, and this I like. I like it so much. This is gonna be probably again a shock for you, because if you know this brand, and you probably do, this is Lancome, and this is Lancome Tresor, and this is probably one of the most rose fragrances out there. But for some reason, and we all know that the rose is actually an emblem of Lancome, right? So um, it's kind of, it should be a big red flag for me, but nonetheless, I absolutely adore Lancome. This is one of my favorite fragrances, and I do not really detect that much of the rose. What I get peaches, I get apricot, I get heliotrope, I get all kinds of flowers, I get vanilla, and the rose. The rose is, it is there, and I do get it. But this presence, this huge presence of flowers, of fruitiness, those notes, they completely overcome the this rose note. I'm gonna read you out the notes of this fragrance. So it has peach, it has rose, apricot blossom, lilac, pineapple, lily of the valley, bergamot, again rose, iris, heliotrope, jasmine, peach, apricot, vanilla, sandalwood, amber, and musk. So we have this huge melting pot of everything, of so many fruits, so many flowers, that the rose that is in there, it's just, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because it's completely and utterly covered by everything else. Yeah. So next fragrance that I'm gonna tell you about is gonna be this one. And I was a bit hesitant, but I have heard that this fragrance is kind of discontinued. It's on huge sales all over the internet. So this is Midnight Rose, again by Lancome. It has the notes of raspberry, rose, cassis, pink pepper, peony, jasmine, vanille, musk, and Virginia cedar. So it's very fruity for me. It's very berry fruity for me, and well, it has the rose, but again, this rose is completely covered by everything else. So basically, you kind of get the vibe of this video. I'm gonna tell you the stories, and I'm gonna tell you the names of the fragrances, but the rose in these fragrances is kind of difficultly detected. But this one is good. This one, oh my gosh, this one is very good. It's very strong, it's very projecting, it's sweet, but the sweetness is kind of tamed by other flowers, by cassis. So it's kind of green sweetness. It has the rose, but again, it has some musk, it has some woodiness to it. It's a beautiful fragrance. Mind you that this fragrance is not a new one, and my batch, my bottle, I have got this bottle, but probably um 6 months ago. So I'm gonna guess and say that it's not very old bottle. It wasn't produced like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It was recently made. So there are some differences in what year the bottle is. And with Lancome, unfortunately, we know that with time they tend to kind of make their fragrances a bit lighter, a bit less intense. So I guess that this what happened to this fragrance, and actually this happened to this my favorite Miracle fragrance. In time, with time, it became much lighter, it became much less intense. Now it's kind of almost transparent lychee fragrance. And I do remember this fragrance because I owned a bottle right about the time it was first launched. It was like 2001 what, one, two, it was much more intense. It was much more powerful. But now it's like kind of scented water, almost. Not there yet, but almost. And with this fragrance, I'm afraid that the same thing is happening. So if you happen to have a bottle of this one, of if you happen to find a bottle of this one and it's an older batch, then you might not get this kind of sweet and green scent. You might get a rose that is more prominent. My rose isn't that prominent, and I love this fragrance for it. It has the rose, I can feel it, but it really doesn't bother me, and for that I'm grateful. Next one, I have to tell you about this beautiful fragrance. um Sorry guys, I have the print screen of everything that I'm gonna tell you, and some of the fragrances I'm gonna read out the notes and some not. So this is Absolutely Blooming by Miss Dior, and yes, I do have this. Is it plastic? Yeah, I do think I do think it's a plastic, or no, it's not a plastic. It's kind of aluminum. I don't know. So I actually got this fragrance right about the time when they were launching their new fragrance with this kind of fabric ribbon, and I got this one. So well, I don't really care, because I do like how this one looks. So it has raspberry, blackcurrant, pomegranate, pink pepper, May rose, peony, and white musk. And this is an absolutely beautiful fragrance, and you can feel the rose. You can feel the rose, but the rose is very airy, is very light. It's not very prominent. You can feel it from the beginning till the end, but it's not prominent. It's like, I can compare it to the backup singer, to the singer that is not a main singer. You can feel it, but it doesn't bother you, and it really doesn't ruin the whole picture. I mean, yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it right in the beginning. And then, have you actually noticed that sometimes peony can kind of be reminiscent of rose? Well, this is because peony, it's very hard. I don't know if it's very hard or it's almost impossible uh, um, to kind of take out the smell of peony. So so many times they kind of recreate the peony smell, not by extracting the essential oil, because it's not possible to do that, but by kind of recreating the smell that is reminiscent of peony, and rose plays a big role in it. So almost in every fragrance where there's peony, it's gonna be almost all the time rose included. So this one, it has this peony and the rose and other things, but this is a very nice fragrance, and this is a compliment getter. And this one, it has this rose that is, I can't say that it's dewy. It's not dewy. It's much more, it has a bit more body to it, but it doesn't bother, because it's not this oily rose. It doesn't give headache. It doesn't induce the headache. You don't feel unwell because of this rose, because some roses, they can induce headaches, and they can sometimes. I do remember, I don't remember what was the brand, no, what was the actual scent, but I do remember the name. It was Rosewood, whatever. I do not remember what brand was it. I felt sick to my bones when I first sniffed it, because it happened to have two of my unfavorite notes, rose and oud together, and I wasn't feeling well, like physically, It almost felt like I was intoxicated, but in a bad way. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna tell you about this, and I don't have a full bottle of it. No, I'm not gonna go out and buy it because it has rose, and the rose is rose essence, but this is a nice one, and I sometimes I do a spritz or two. So this is Parfum de Rosine, and this is actually the sample I got from Essence in Milan, and this is the Zest of Rose fragrance. So it has this kind of plain white sample. So it has this citrus essence, the bergamot, orange peel, so it's very zesty, zest of the rose. It has rose essence, green tea, jasmine, ambergris, white musk, and mate. So it is very green, and but the greenness, it's not because of the green rose, it's because of the other green and zesty ingredients. The rose here is normal, it's not oily, it's not dewy, it's like your normal standard rose that in another setting might be headache inducing, it might be unpleasant, uncomfortable, but in this setting, when it is surrounded by the greenness and the zestiness, it's actually not bad, I have to tell you. So this is a nice one. This is a nice one. Next one. Next fragrance is a fragrance that I like. I like it. I wasn't expecting myself to like it, because this whole series of these fragrances, they actually passed by me. I used to have a bottle of it. I actually won a bottle with my friend, and we shared the bottle, and so it just was nothing to write home about. But this one, this is Bloom of Rose, and this is Eau de Toilette. There's also Eau de Parfum. It's a bit different. I'm talking about Eau de Toilette. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the moment, this is one of few flankers that are at the official website of Guerlain. All other flankers, and there were many flankers of this scent they are gone. So the Bloom of Rose, it has lavender, and it's evident lavender and bergamot. It has Bulgarian rose, Moroccan rose, patchouli, ISO-E super, geranium, white musk, ambroxan, and vanilla. So it's kind of chemically made fragrance, obviously, but it has a super dose of lavender in the beginning. It has this zestiness of citrus, and it has two roses. That might seem like a lot, but in this setting, again, they're kind of tamed with all other ingredients that are present here. So I actually quite enjoy it, because it is rosy. You can feel the rose, but it is like diluted rose, and because of the other ingredients presented in this fragrance, it's a pleasure to wear this fragrance. I actually enjoy this fragrance. The next one is the fragrance that, mind you, again, I have an older version, an older bottle, and this bottle, I believe I got it, well, maybe 12 years ago. Probably not. Yeah, it's probably when this fragrance came out. At the moment, I cannot find the notes for this fragrance. Anyway, this is Juliette Has a Gun, and this is a very beautiful rose fragrance that absolutely doesn't give me any kind of troubles. And why so? Because the rose is almost undetectable for me, and mind you, my friend that has tried a newer, bottle of this one, she told me that nowadays it's very, very detectable. The rose is very there. It's very, very prominent. But in my this older version, I do have a little bit of rose, a lot of patchouli, a lot of this kind of woodiness, greenness, and I love it. I love it. And then it stays. It stays for hours. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful fragrance. It's, yeah, you can kind of feel the rose, but it's almost undetectable. It's almost like you have a whiff here and there of this rose, but it doesn't you really don't care about it in this setting, in this fragrance. And I like it for that. It's very beautiful. And this is my one and only fragrance from Juliette Has a Gun, and trust me, I've tried almost everything. I do have a sample of another one, and I did have those discovery sets and this minis, and no, this is the only one that I like. This is the only one that I like to wear. This is very green. This is very kind of mossy green. This is very like patchouli, a lot of patchouli with just a hint of rose, just a little bit of rose that doesn't really bother you at all. And I'm gonna finish this video with a fragrance that I can't say that this is heavily rose fragrance. I mean, it has rose in it, but it's pleasant. This is Idole by Lancome, and this is Emily in Paris edition. It's essentially the same fragrance, it's just the bottle is a bit different than the usual. It has this kind of beautiful artwork on it, but the scent inside is completely the same. So about this fragrance is, I don't feel like this fragrance is something special. For me, this is the fragrance that is absolutely generic. It's absolutely everyday appropriate. There's nothing to write home about. It's a normal fragrance, but it has rose in it. And this rose is very pleasant because it's almost undetectable. It has freshness to this fragrance. This fragrance has a little bit of pear. It has a little bit of zestiness, white flowers, and it has the rose. So I do like this fragrance. Obviously, I do like it. I don't I don't I can't say that you have to rush out and to buy it, because apart from the rose it has everything else going on, but it's nice nonetheless. It's a nice fragrance, a little bit generic, yes, but it's portable. It's portable and actually a crowd pleaser. I have to tell you at the end of this video that this is my advice for you. If you are searching for rose fragrances, if you do not like rose fragrances, if you, like me, I don't think like that anymore, but I used to think like that, that if I don't have a rose fragrance, then my collection is incomplete. You know, don't think like that. It's not true. But if you do think like that and you are searching for the roses, then my tip for you is search for the fragrance where you have the rose, but you have so many other ingredients that are gonna overwhelm you, and the rose will not be as evident. Stay away maybe from the fragrances that has rose as a part of the name of the fragrance. This one obviously has rose. What are you? Noir rose. It has a name rose as a part of a fragrance, but nonetheless it's very nice and it's very subtle. So just look for the fragrance that is gonna have so many more items, so many more notes in the fragrance. that the rose is not gonna be noticeable, or uh, search for something that's gonna start like zesty and that's gonna have a little bit of musk inside, so it's gonna make rose lighter and zestier and cleaner. So this rose is gonna be a bit less invasive for your nose. So these are my rose fragrances, the rose fragrances that I actually even like having on myself. I can't say that my hand reaches out for these fragrances a lot or often, but if I want to have a crowd pleasing fragrance, if I know that I'm going to be outside with my friends or among people, one of these fragrances will do the trick. And trust me, people like these fragrances. And um, the most importantly for me, that I do not suffocate myself, that I do not feel unpleasant in the fragrance. And with these fragrances, it has the rose, but it's bearable. It's fine for me. So I really hope that you like this video. Do please give this video a thumbs up, and let me know if there are some fragrances that have rose in it and you particularly do not mind wearing them. Let me know. I'm gonna go out and test them as well. I wish you a pleasant Sunday. Bye.